Welcome back to another edition of the Saturday to Sunday Football Podcast. I am Paul Perticchese, and thank you for joining me as always. Week 0 of the college football season is in the books. We are headed towards the real opening of college football, which is Labor Day weekend. And here at Saturday to Sunday, we are excited to announce that our 2023 premium notebooks are now live, are now available for purchase. And this short podcast video stream is going to let our readers know how to purchase it, give them a little sampling of what is included in the premium notebooks for people who maybe have not purchased it in the past but are considering it. Again, as a reminder, it is the best way to help support the show. All of the money we make from the sale of the notebooks goes right back into Saturday to Sunday to help us get the subscriptions that we need to bring you the coverage that we do here at Saturday to Sunday, to pay the server costs, the website fees, everything that goes with having Saturday to Sunday be what it is all from the money that we get from the sale of these notebooks. We never want to put anything behind a paywall. In terms of like the podcast, we don't want to have a Patreon account where we just ask people for donations and they don't get anything back in return for it. So for $9.99, we ask that if you're a fan of Saturday to Sunday, if you're a fan of the work that we do here, if you're a fan of myself and Jeff or Matt or any of us, you consider for one purchase fee of $9.99, you get access to all 3 premium notebooks, all the content. For people that have been subscribers and purchasers of the premium notebooks, most of them think that $9.99 is a good price for one notebook and could easily say that each of the notebooks could be $9.99. You get all 3 of them for $9.99. So first, how do you access getting the notebooks? Well, I have the screen share here for people watching on YouTube. The first thing you want to do is you want to go to our website. The easiest way to get there is S2Sfootball.com or Saturday2SundayFootball.com. Either one can get there. So S2Sfootball.com or spell it out, Saturday2SundayFootball.com. Then what you want to do is you want to make sure that you go to where it says premium content. So when you go to where it says premium content, you will see right here a box that shows 2023 premium notebooks. You want to click on that box, and then that is where you will see a full detailed description of what is included in the 3 premium notebooks. I will get into more detail on that in a second. And this is where then at the bottom, it'll say add to cart. You add the cart, and then you can go check out. So that is how you get there again to purchase it. SSFootball.com, Saturday2SundayFootball.com, premium content tab. You add it to the cart, you purchase it. Now, the next part is very important. I'm going to switch over to screen share to show you this next part. After you make the purchase, you are quickly going to get an email that has instructions. The instructions that you're going to get look like this. Let me bring up this slide for you and people listening at home. You are going to get a PDF file that looks just like this. Okay, this is going to be your PDF file that you get. It will give you instructions of how to access the 3 premium notebooks. So you will get 3 separate links here, one for the scouting notebook, one for the rankings notebook, and one for the draft projections notebook. Again, I will go into further depth on each of these momentarily. You get access to the scouting notebook and the rankings notebook immediately. You get the draft projections notebook next April. Again, it's a one-time fee of $9.99, get you access to all of these. When you get this PDF file, I encourage you to do one of 2 things, and it says it right here where it says important. Either download and save the PDF file when you get it, or 2, open each of the 3 links that are in here, the scouting notebook, rankings notebook, and draft projections notebook, and just bookmark them. If you don't do one of those 2 things, what is going to happen is that the links are going to expire in the email, And then you're going to have to recontact us at Saturday to Sunday to get links that actually take you to the free premium notebooks. So if you save the PDF file, it'll always work. Or two, if you open each of the free links as soon as you get the email and save them or bookmark them, that will work as well. But if you just get the email and then never or open it once and then don't save it as a PDF file, or don't open each of the free notebooks and bookmark them, it is not going to work the next time you come back to it. So either save the PDF file and then you'll be fine to get access. The links will never not work. Or two, open each of them, bookmark them, and then you have access to them. The reason why we do it on Google, this has been something that when Matt and I started this project years and years ago, we chose to do it on Google Notebook because we wanted it to be more of a living, breathing document. You can find scouting reports all over the internet. Some of them are good, some of them are average, some I question, but to each their own in terms of their opinion. But what you can't usually find is if you find a scouting report right now listed August, 28th, 2022. Well, if you then look up that same player a month or two from now, you're still going to get that scouting report from before the year started. Here at Saturday Sunday, we chose to do it as a Google Doc, a Google Sheets document, to make the scouting notebook, so then we can go in and change it. If I'm watching something this weekend, real opening weekend of college football, and I see something that makes me want to change one of my scouting reports, I'll go right in and change it. If I want to change something after the first game of the season or the second week or the third week, I'll change it. If I want to add players to it, we'll add players to it. If I want to add their stats at the end of the year from this year, in addition to last year's stats, we add it. If we get a better representation of their height and weight, we adapt. But mostly it's a easy to edit document that as soon as we edit it, you now have access to the updates. You don't have to re-download a PDF file. You don't got to look for it. Anytime you go into the document, it will be the most up-to-date version. So yeah, we don't change things game by game, but if I see something that I had questions about, or I see something, we will add to it. So the Google Doc allows us to easily make changes. It's possible you might have it open on a Saturday and you might see me in there making changes to something live in real time. And you will immediately see that on your end as well. Or if you happen to be in there while I'm doing it, you might even see me as I'm doing it and realize that I'm in there logged in, making edits and updates and changing things. So that's why we use Google. So you purchase the notebooks at Saturday Sunday Football or S2S Football Premium Content tab. Then you will get an email with this PDF. Please save the PDF file or open each of the free notebooks and bookmark them so you have access to them. If you don't save the PDF file or open and bookmark each of them, you will have to reach back out to us to get access, because the links will no longer work down the line if you wait to open it a month from now or months from now. Okay. We like to get it out now. We know the process is evolving, but we want our takes out there from before the season starts, and then we will update and edit it as we go. It's rare that you find a place put all this stuff out before the season even starts. Obviously, there's lots of great draft guides. There's lots of great draft content in the pre-draft months. Very rarely can you find somewhere right now that puts out scouting reports on over 80 prospects. Detailed scouting reports, 80 prospects from film watching, and then rankings. And we'll talk about the rankings notebook momentarily as well. I'll show you some of the scouting notebook as well. So that's how you access it. That's the email that you will get. Now, next, let me switch over. Let's go into what the free notebooks that you get for $9.99 total give you access to. So the first one is, as I've been talking about, is the 2023 Scouting Notebook. And if you've been watching any of the recent positional preview shows, you have seen this being shared in the background. So the 2023 Scouting Notebook looks like this, and it shows the players right here that full detailed scouting reports. You're seeing me kind of go through it right now on that end. You get access to all of this. If you just look right here at the quarterback position, there's almost 20 guys here at the quarterback position, full detailed profiles. I went through and read a lot about these over the last 2 weeks with the 4 positional preview shows. So down here, you see that there's tabs at the bottom. Okay, if you can see, I'm going to make it the full screen for a second. Down here, you'll see that there is tabs. It's the quarterbacks, then it's the running backs, then it is the wide receivers, and then it is the tight ends. After the season, what we do is I will separate who declared, who did not. So then you have separate tabs for the guys that are in the 2023 NFL draft. And then we don't remove the other reports. We just keep them on their own separate tab. So that's the scouting notebook. It has their college, their class, their height, their weight, their 2021 stats, their strengths, their functional areas, developmental areas and concerns, how they win, NFL role, NFL scheme fit, NFL draft projection, and fantasy spin. So right now in the notebooks, there are 20 quarterbacks, there are 20 running backs, there are 28 wide receivers, and there are 19 tight ends. So we're talking about 87 detailed scouting reports are already in the notebook, and that will be updated, edited. A lot more players will be added. I'm sure by the time it's all said and done, there'll easily be over 100 scouting reports in there. The good majority of these guys do end up declaring and coming out. I'm sure 15, 20 might not. But by the time the draft season rolls around, there'll be at least probably well over 100 in this, and probably 80 to 90 will be guys that are in the draft. So you'll have detailed scouting reports on 80 to 90 offensive skill players with all their strengths, functional areas, developmental areas, how they win, NFL role, and a fantasy spin as well. That is the scouting notebook. So that is basically the bread and butter of what we do here: film analysis, trait-based analysis. So it's kind of exciting that we put it out now. We modify it and update it as the whole year goes on. Major updates after the season. Obviously, the pre-draft months, impact things, constantly updating and editing the scouting notebook. The second notebook you get, and usually we don't ever show access to this, but we will right now, will be the rankings notebook. Now, the rankings notebook, you immediately have access to it. And in the rankings notebook, you will get access to my 2023 draft eligible rankings. And as you see right here up on the screen, it is color coded. Quarterbacks are red, running backs are green, wide receivers are blue, tight ends are purple. So I have all my quarterbacks ranked 1 to technically 21, running backs 1 to 20, wide receivers 1 to 28, tight ends 1 to 19. I also have an overall big board from 1 to 30 in terms of their talent, where I would feel comfortable drafting them based on their skill sets right now. And then underneath each of the quarterback rankings, the running back rankings, wide receiver, and tight end rankings is a watch list of anywhere between 10 and 20 more names that you should watch. So the quarterback list, I know Jake Hayner out of Fresno State is a guy that Jeff likes a lot. He was one of the top quarterbacks on the Senior Bowl watch list. He's going to be a guy that'll probably be added to the notebook, and then I'll move him up to the rankings once I do a deep dive on him. Brandon Armstrong out of Virginia. I already added Hendon Hooker from Tennessee into my rankings, and I'm in the process of creating a scouting report on him and adding that to the scouting notebook. So many talented running backs. If you were watching the Illinois game yesterday, when they beat up on Wyoming, Chase Brown had a monster game. There's Chase Brown on the running back watch list. He might be a guy that moves up into the rankings, and then a scouting report is written on him. Right now, guys in my rankings are only guys I've done a film analysis on. I just think it's fair. If I'm going to rank a guy, I'm going to want to have done a full film analysis. So yes, Brennan Armstrong, Jay Kaner, they're better than guys like Tanner Morgan, Sean Clifford, Graham Mertz, JT Daniels, Caden Slovis, maybe Jaden Daniels. They're better than them. But I haven't done a full deep dive on them yet, so I have not put them in my rankings. Once I do a deep dive on them, then I will appropriately place them. My guess is they're probably in that like 15, 16, 17 range, give or take, but I'm not sure yet because I haven't done the deep dive on them. But as I do deep dives on guys and add them to the rankings, I will take them off the watch list, and then I will move them into the rankings, and then there'll be a report in the scouting notebook as well. In addition to the draft eligible rankings, you also get my dynasty rookie rankings. So this is from the 2022 NFL draft. I will keep this updated throughout the NFL season. So you will have access to my dynasty rookie rankings throughout the year. So right now where they stand, if I make adjustments and, Dameon Pierce leapfrogs James Cook or Kenneth Walker, well, you'll have access to that. This helps, for your dynasty leagues, for trade offers, for, buying guys low, stuff like that. Just like these are my dynasty rookie rankings. Again, quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers, tight ends, and then my overall dynasty big board. Next set of rankings you get access to is our Devy rankings here at Saturday to Sunday. So if you want to see rankings that include some of the underclassmen, this will be it. Over here on the quarterbacks right now, you see Caleb Williams, third on my Devy rankings after CJ Stroud and Bryce Young. You see Quinn Ewers out of Texas. You see Jackson Dart out of Ole Miss. You see Travion Henderson out of Ohio State. You see Xavier Worthy out of Texas on the wide receivers with Marvin Harrison, Michael Mayer. Obviously this year's draft class, but right underneath him, Brock Bowers out of Georgia, as a tight end that's highly regarded. So our Devy rankings, have our rankings, for all of college football in terms of future fantasy value at the next level. And also you get our positional dynasty rankings. This is our overall dynasty rankings. So, quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers, and tight ends. This goes quarterbacks, it goes all the way down 1 to 36. Running backs, we have it labeled 1 all the way down to 62. Wide receivers, it starts out at 1, goes all the way down to 84. And then tight ends, I have the top for myself 40 tight ends ranked. Jeff is also working on updating his positional dynasty rankings, and his go even more in depth. So once his dynasty rankings are updated, they will also be included here into the positional dynasty rankings. Now, you also got to know is that once the college football season concludes, we have our special Saturday to Sunday tiers. Matt and I have worked very hard over the years fine crafting our tiers. Once the season is over and we do our film analysis, some more postseason film analysis, by about February, prior to the combine, we will do our tier buster shows, and you will see our special tiers, the descriptions for each of our tiers for each of the positions. And then we do our tier buster shows, and then we put our tiers here as well. Similar to the scouting notebook, I will break my rankings up into guys who end up declaring for the draft, and then I will no longer update the draft eligible tab. I will only update the draft tab of the actual guys who end up declaring for the 2023 NFL draft. Then after the 2023 draft is over, you'll immediately have access to our 2023 Dynasty rookie rankings. You'll have access to our 2023 IDP rookie dynasty rankings as well. This rankings notebook is updated consistently from today to basically next year when the next notebook comes out a year from now. So these rankings in here will be constantly updated. The dynasty overall rankings, the rookie rankings, the Devy rankings. You have access to this rankings notebook for basically one full calendar year. If you buy the premium notebooks at launch, you have access to these rankings for a whole calendar year, 365 days. So those are the two notebooks you get immediately. They immediately provide value. The scouting notebook is a great thing to have with you up on your screen while you're watching college football on Saturday. And if a draft eligible prospect is a guy that you're unfamiliar with, go check out the notebook, see if I have a scouting report on him, see where I have him ranked. The rankings notebook is something that you can constantly check back in to see our dynasty rookie rankings updated, check our Devy rankings, check our draft eligible rankings throughout the college football season. This will give you a leg up on your competition in your Devy leagues, your dynasty leagues. A great resource to have. If you reach out to me ever with a question about your own league, I will answer any and every single question that comes my way on Twitter. You can give me your entire roster. You can ask me, would you do this trade? You could ask me if, whatever you want. If you reach out to me on social media, on Twitter, I will respond back. It could be any question about a player, thoughts, specific to your league, general. I make it a point to respond to every single tweet that comes my way within a timely manner for you. So, I have some interaction with you and able to share my thoughts with you and help you in your leagues. So those are the two notebooks you get access to immediately. The third notebook you get is the draft projections notebook, and that does not come out to mid-April of the draft month. So that third notebook, you will not have access to it until about April of 2023. But what I do want to show you right here is I want to show you last year's draft projections notebook, just so you have an idea of what is included in that notebook. So this is just a snapshot of last year's notebook. What you will see right here is the first tab will be a projected of the top 32. So this is my guess at what 32 players will go in the first round of the NFL draft. Last year, as you see on the screen right now, we had our best year ever. And anyone who might think, things could change after the fact, no, I put pictures of this out of all three big boards, the projected top 32, 105, and 262 prior to the NFL draft starting. The receipts are always there on my Twitter handle. If you look at media and find the pictures, they're time stamped the day of the NFL draft prior to the draft starting of our projections. Last year, 30 out of 32. We projected 30 out of the 32 players to go in round one. I did not see anywhere online that had 30 of the 32 names right. We don't do a mock draft. I care less about mock drafts and more about projecting the guys who are going to go in round one. We projected 30 of the 32 guys that were to go in round one. As you can see on the screen, if you're watching on YouTube, the only guys we missed last year is I had Malik Willis as a round one pick, and I had Boye Mafe as a round one pick. Instead of those guys going, it was Tyler Linderbaum, and then the surprise of round one, Cole Strange. I also, at the bottom of it, always put my last 10 guys in and the top 10 guys I left out. So it kind of gives you an idea if I was going to, the 10 guys that I have some questions whether or not they're going to go in, and then 10 guys who could potentially replace any of them. I always like to include that. The second tab is our projected top 105. This is trying to project, and every year the amount of picks in the first three rounds change, but this is projecting all the picks in rounds 1 through 3. What players will come off the board by position. I put them, and I should have said that in the first tab. I put them in the order in which I think they're going to come. So I thought Malik Willis was going to be QB1, then Kenny Pickett. The wide receivers, I thought Garrett Wilson was going to be 1. So I try to project it in the order in which they're going to come off the board, but more importantly, just trying to get the right names. The projected 105 last year, again, I do a just miss category as well. Last year, we projected 88 out of 105 right for about 84%. That's right up there with the best you're going to find in terms of trying to project the top 100. If we entered any of those contests that I know are out there, we would be near the top in that, because usually somewhere between like 82 and 87% win those contests of trying to project the guys that come off the board in the top 100 picks. You also get, and nobody does this, a projection of the 262 or however many names are in the draft, a projection of every single pick that we think could come off the board. You get access to this as well. I highlight this in real time during the NFL draft. I have all the guys that I think just missed. Last year, we correctly predicted 216 of the 262 players to be selected, which was good for 82.4%. We have been over 80% every single year. I think one year we went as high as 85 or 86% in terms of projecting every single pick in the NFL draft. So those are the 3 big boards, but that's not it. You get so much more. Then after that, and you get tabs for every position, not just every offensive position, every position: quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers, tight ends, offensive line, D line, edge group, linebackers, cornerbacks, safeties, and special teams. And in this, I'll just go to edge group. You get, again, it ranked in the names are in order of which we think they're going to come off the board from everything we are hearing, not our prediction, not our film studies on them. Everything we're hearing. That's why it's the draft projections notebook. So we rank them based on everything we're hearing in terms of how they're going to come off the board, their best positions, where we think they're going to go, top five, round 1, round 1, 2, round 2, so on and so forth. But then you also get a quick snapshot of who the player is. You get information on their strengths, how they win, some developmental areas, their combine or pro day height and weight, and all of their combine measurements if they do any drills at the combine. So you get access to this, offense and defensive players. There's over 400 players that I put in this. Notes for offensive linemen. This offensive lineman group list here last year went all the way down to 64 names I had on the list. 64 offensive linemen, strengths, how they win, developmental areas, their measurements, projecting where I think they're going to go. So this is for every single position, not just offense, not just defense, offensive line. You get access to this all. So this comes out mid-April in preparation for the draft. It is one of the best resources to have open all of draft weekend. Snapshot of every single player that pretty much gets drafted. Really, get you to understand these guys well. I'm constantly tweeting out my thoughts with every pick as well, or when every person runs at the combine as well. That makes up a lot of these things that I hear, but I don't often tweet out my developmental areas or concerns. I can sometimes tweet out all the things that I like about the player. You get access to this all, and it's a great reference, not even just for draft weekend, but even after the fact, when you're thinking about IDP rankings and you want to know, is a guy a better off the ball linebacker or on the ball? Is he a better, will linebacker who's going to be playing more in space, or is he more of a sandbacker or an inside backer who's going to be close to the line of scrimmage to pick up tackles? You can get a lot of information for IDP leagues in this in terms of the scouting reports. So the scouting notebook is 80 or 90 detailed offensive skill players. But here you have notes on almost 400 players to help you prepare for the entire NFL draft. So you get all 3 for the price of $9.99. We really hope you consider purchasing it this year. Anybody who's ever purchased it, I've never had one person complain about it, say it wasn't a great value. Most people are surprised it's only $9.99 and not $9.99 per notebook, but $9.99 for all 3 of them. Best way to help us, best way to support the show. We really hope you consider checking it out this year. We need the truth be told, guys, we need more of our listener base. We probably have about 20 to 25% of our listener base who purchases the premium notebooks. I know there's so much great content out there, but purchasing the notebooks is a way of helping us continue to do what we do for the podcast. So if you're a fan of the podcast and you just want to say, I just want to give back and help, this is the way to do it. $9.99 one-time purchase, and you get so much stuff that will be useful to you in your Devy leagues, in your dynasty leagues, or if you're just a fan of the NFL draft and all things that come with it. So there it is. If you have any questions, do not hesitate to email me. Do not hesitate to reach out to me on Twitter. Reach out to Matt or Jeff or the Saturday to Sunday handle. Somebody will get back to you, or it'll get towards me for me to be able to respond to you. So there it is. On behalf of our sound tech engineer, David Nicano, and myself, thank you for joining us, and we look forward next time taking you from Saturday to Sunday.